So today I'm going to do something a little different. We get a lot of really interesting questions from our Thursday Q&A show. Because we'll be gone for a little bit, we pre-record some sessions. And so we asked the viewers, or however you want to call them on YouTube, we asked them for questions, okay? And there is a number of questions that come up repeatedly, a lot, all right? And this particular one came up. The question was, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the question was, I know that in Greek culture and many other cultures, and yes, many other cultures, okay, there are superstitions. Well, we as Greeks have many superstitions, all right? And the one in particular that we have that's referenced in here is Themati, the evil eye. All of us who are Greek have heard that, and other cultures have a very, very similar idea, okay? And so, what is the Orthodox position about that? And he goes on to ask about the black arts. So we're talking about, we're talking about tarot cards, we're talking about the Ouija board, we're talking about astrology, witchcraft, all of those things. So I thought that it's important to address that, and I'll get to the baptism question here in a minute. So the very simple and easy answer is that you cannot have both of these things. You cannot call yourself a Christian, Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, cannot call yourself a Christian and still have or believe in superstitions. The answer is you cannot do both. I don't care what Yaya tells you, I don't care what Papu tells you, I don't care what anybody tells you. You cannot have both. One is demonic, and the other comes from Christ. So we have to be very careful what it is that we engage in, all right? And now this brings me to the baptism part, because many times what we do when we have these little pins is that we put the mati together with the cross. We can't do that because we are saying now two divergent things, two radically different things. One, we're saying that we believe that Jesus Christ, through the baptism, is saving us and that we have entered into a Christian life. And then we have the mati and we say, just in case Jesus doesn't work, I got this mati here, so, Those of you that remember Brandon Fraser in the movie, The Mummy, there was Benny, and it reminds me of Benny, for those of you that have seen that movie. And all of a sudden he's confronted in front of the mummy, and he pulls out every single religion on a chain. He's got the Jewish star, he's got the cross, he's got Buddha, and he's pulling all of these out, and he's trying to say anything that he possibly can so that the mummy doesn't kill him. And this is the very similar thing that we have here. So we have to be very careful about how we are presenting ourselves as Christians. At the same time, I do hear many parishioners in this parish, in my last parish, in my previous parish, tell me about their astrology and what they read in the paper about what's going to happen to them on a trip. All right? Or they're heading off to the palm reader, or they're reading tarot cards to predict the future, but then they'll tell me at the same time, oh, Father, it's very important we believe in Jesus Christ. Okay, so again, we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. And I haven't even mentioned the one that my yaya taught me when I was very young. She was a kafetzu. You know what that is. All right? So she was the one that read the cups, right? She taught me how to, but even my yaya knew, because she told me, she says, there's no magic here. She says, I have a conversation with them for 20 minutes. We sit down, we have a little bit of ouzo, we have a little bit of tiparo, we drink, they tell me a bunch of stuff, and then I tell them the same stuff back, and then there's all. So even my yaya did not believe this, but there are some that believe this. And so, like I said, I just want to give the Orthodox position that it is inconsistent for us to practice these things that are of a demonic origin and can affect and influence us and take us away from what is truly salvific and only salvific, which is God. Now, having said all that, in the Echoloion, in the pre-service book, the very last prayer is Epivaskanian, the prayer of deliverance from the evil eye. So, Father, I don't understand. If we believe it, what is it doing in this book? And the answer to that question is that if you look at the prayer very carefully, the prayer addresses the influence that the person is under. Nobody on earth has the power to put the Themati on you or to do anything to you. Nobody has that power. But what can happen is when people believe that they believe somebody has the power, then that begins that demonic attack. And then that influences that person to believe that they are under the influence of that person, not realizing what is happening. The prayer here specifically then says, let us pray that they will be released from that influence. The prayer doesn't say that be released from whoever put the curse on you or whatever that is, but to be released from the influence of that demonic activity. That's why the prayer is in here, because our minds get influenced, but nobody on earth has the power to put any kind of spell or whatever it is that you want to say. So to close, what I want to say is we as Orthodox, as Christian Orthodox, cannot practice in any of those things. Why? Because they put us under the influence of demonic thought and activity, and that's where it's dangerous, because it pulls us away from what is truly good and what is truly salvific.